welcome to NAPOD, where we provide NA speaker meetings and workshops in a podcast. We are an ad-free podcast, and if you enjoy listening, please help us to be self-supporting by visiting napod.xyz, look for the donate link, and drop $1 or $2 in the virtual basket. If you're also in AA or have friends that are, please tell them about our other podcast, Sobercast. Sobercast features AA speakers and workshops in the same format as NAPOD. We upload a new speaker every day, and it's easy to subscribe by searching for Sobercast, that's 2 words, on any podcast player app, or go to Sobercast.com. Enjoy the podcast, and thanks for listening.
My name's Janet and I'm an addict. Lester's been winding me up about this for about 2 weeks, so I've just been getting more and more nervous. So yeah, I feel very nervous, and I celebrated 10 years last Sunday. And it's kind of, I had a very special day. Some friends and loved ones kind of did me a surprise barbecue. And I had no idea about it. It was very kept secret, and I had a lovely day, and it was just a fantastic way to celebrate 10 years in recovery, because it's kind of, I never ever thought that I could do over 8 hours without using. So to make it to 10 years is quite a massive achievement, and it feels a bit surreal. And this morning in the car, I've been listening to shares on my phone in the car on the way to work, and I was listening to one this morning, and it was about a little girl grows up, and I had to switch it off because I got quite emotional, and I was driving to work, and my eyes were welling up, and I couldn't see the road, and I didn't want to switch it off, but I had to because I couldn't see. I was driving, and and I can remember that, what I felt was, thank fuck I found NA, because I wouldn't be here today. And I have so much gratitude for, the programme, the fellowship. When I come into recovery 10 years ago, I had no hope. And, I'm an addict, and I was the problem. It wasn't my parents, it wasn't my brother, it wasn't where I grew up, it was fucking me, and I had to change that. I had to change everything about me. I had to change my thinking, my behaviours, and 10 years I've done my time in recovery of what I spent using. I got into recovery when I was 23, and I picked up substances about 15, so I've done my time. But for me, it was kind of, my thinking was fucked. When I was younger, I can remember I always used to live in a fantasy land. I always wanted something else. I wanted different parents. I wanted to live somewhere else. I wanted to go to a different school. And I kind of lived in a fantasy land all the time. And I was kind of always out of myself. So when I found substances, that took me out of myself, and it stopped me from feeling. It stopped the feelings that I didn't like. And, from a young age, I always displayed kind of risky behaviours and kind of having no fear. And I know a lot of young kids have that, but I kind of didn't have no fear of anything. And I had that kind of attitude towards substances. I would just take whatever. It didn't matter. It didn't matter that I didn't know what it was. And I just wanted more of it. And that was my problem. I just wanted more and more and more. I didn't want the party to end. I was always the last one standing and saying to people, what, Monday morning you're going to work? I'll be like, no, fuck off. That's, don't be a boring old fart, stay and party. And that was me. And other people managed to stop on a Monday morning and get off and be responsible and go to work, and I couldn't do that. I always had to take it to the next step, and and I did that with my drugs. I always took it to the next step, and I ended up with nothing basically. My addiction stripped me of everything. I didn't, 10 years ago, I didn't have nowhere to live. I was living on my friend's couch, and just a black sack of clothes that I kept underneath her stairs in a little hatch, and I used to go in there to get changed before her kids come down, and you know, all my family had stopped talking to me, my mum had stopped talking to me. She had a nervous breakdown when I was using, and she couldn't come and see me. She said to me, "I can't watch you killing yourself," and that's what I was doing. And I kind of never thought I'd make it past the age of 21, and I kind of didn't want to either. You know, my life was just so shit. I didn't have no dreams or aspirations when I was at school. I didn't think, I was different from my friends. All my friends wanted to grow up and do this, be a doctor or work in a bank and all this, and I kind of didn't have that. I was just kind of lost, and I didn't know where I was going. When I left school, I didn't like school either. I just got picked on, and I remember going home crying with my dog, because my parents went there a lot, and I just used to cuddle my dog under the table crying, and just alone really. I felt very alone when I was growing up, and kind of never had anyone to talk to. So I think I picked up this trait of just getting on with it myself. And when I got into recovery, I kind of had to change that trait, because I couldn't do it on my own anymore. You know, I had to reach out for help and kind of accept the help as well. And asking for help I found really hard, because I always felt, I got myself into this mess, I've got to get myself out of it, and my family kind of felt that way as well. My stepdad kind of didn't understand the disease of addiction, and was kind of like, I've got to sort myself out. And I went into treatment, and he was like, you need to be out working, and kind of supporting myself. And I found that quite hard, because his attitude, he was kind of putting on to my mum, and he kind of forced my mum not to see me. But as I went into treatment, and he kind of saw the change in me, and kind of in the end he saw that that's what I needed. I needed treatment. I needed to kind of be shown and taught how to kind of change my thinking and my behaviours, because that's what trips me up. It trips me up still today, my thinking and my behaviours. And it was hard. It was hard to do. I went through treatment, and I didn't talk a lot. I used to get set goals to start talking, and I found it really hard. I was suspicious. My peer evaluation, I was just, everyone ticked suspicious and distrustful, and I was just kind of like, why do these people want to help me? What's in it for them? What am I going to get out of meetings? What am I going to get out of sitting with a bunch of addicts? I just kind of, I didn't get it. But I went to meetings, and my attitude changed, and for the first time I saw hope, and I sat and listened to people sharing, and I just thought, wow, I can remember crying a lot in early recovery, because I was just so overwhelmed all the time, and I didn't know how to handle my feelings and emotions, and I'd be like a blubbering wreck quite a lot. And I was just thinking, wow, that's what I want that. And I kept coming back, and I can remember thinking, if I put as much energy into getting to meetings as I did into my using, into scoring, I'll be okay. And I did that. And I can remember somebody also saying that, the odds are stacked against us, and you're lucky if you get it, and a lot of people don't get it. There's quite a high percentage of people that don't get it. And I can remember thinking to myself, if I'm going to be one of the fucking people that do, I've had enough. There wasn't, nothing changed. I was in treatment, and I relapsed after 10 days, and it was on a bottle of beer, and that start, I was gone, so there's nothing in my mind from then on that said that I can have a drink. That was it, any substances. And when it says like one is too many, 1,000's never enough, this, is so true, I get that. And it was my mindset, I kind of felt, well, nothing's changing. And I wanted things to change instantly, and it wasn't. And I just kind of gave up and I used. But the next day I spoke to one of my peer groups and they took me to a meeting, and I started again, and I've been clean ever since. And kind of that relapse, it showed me that nothing has changed out there. It wasn't attractive. I kept thinking to myself, what the fuck am I doing? I was using, going to school, and the whole time it was like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't want to be doing this. I've seen people not using and clean and this new way of life, and people happy and they looked well. I'd seen that, but yet I was still doing this, and I knew that could be gone in an instant, and it was like I was possessed. And from the next day, that was it. I was determined to kind of get this. I went to as many meetings as I could. I left treatment and started volunteering. I didn't want to go back to my old way of life. I'd had enough of that. The insanity, looking in my step 2 and looking at the insanity kind of helped me, and kind of thinking, what the fuck was I doing? Some of the things that I did to get drugs into my system, I had no veins left. I was injecting heroin into my neck, and people used to say, you can lose an arm or a leg, but what are you going to do? You can't have your head cut off, that's it. And kind of, I didn't care, I just needed my fix. And, that is where my addiction took me, to that desperation of not giving a fuck about how I got substances into my body, and stealing from my family. I broke into my dad's bungalow and stole his video recorder to my cousin. And I wasn't thinking about the destruction that I was causing. It was just, I want my fix. And I don't care who I hurt to get it. And I didn't think of getting found out. I didn't think of the consequences of my behaviours. Never. I never thought about that. So, being clean, I'm very conscious about, I try to behave in a way where I don't hurt people today. I try to be honest to the best of my ability. I try to give back to newcomers, because I know how it felt when I first come around. I was very scared. But I'd never seen this new way of life, and I had to kind of learn to trust it. It didn't change overnight. And when people say, why don't you have a drink? It's boring. And I don't fucking. Looking back over my 10 years, I've had so much fun. I've gained so much. There's all these outside things. I've learnt to drive in recovery. I have a house. I have central heating. I have a fridge with food in it, which I never used to have. I have a pillow. I have a mattress. All them things I never used to have. I had absolutely fuck all. So I have all them external things, but today I also have I have my heart. I feel loved, and I can love. And so it's, I feel my feelings today, and I hear a lot that there's a saying, the good thing is you get your feelings back, and the bad thing is you get your feelings back. But, I wouldn't change anything. I've been through some quite emotional stuff in recovery. My mum died 4 years ago, and that was kind of like, that was really painful, and I had a lot of anger around that, because when I first got clean, she kind of went travelling, and I thought, well, you can't do that now. I'm here now, and you're fucking off, and I kind of, that was my stuff, and and then she was due to come back that year and she died, and I felt very fucking angry that happened. And I was carried through that. I was loved through that by the fellowship, my family, loved ones. Here is where I can relate to people. People can relate to me, and I'm learning to live my life here. Basically, I couldn't. If this wasn't here, I don't know what I'd fucking be doing. This keeps me sane, and sometimes my thinking can go off and say that I'm shit, I'm a twat, I'm not doing nothing productive, I can't do this, I can't work, I'm stupid, I can't spell, I can't read, all this sort of stuff. And that sort of thinking will talk me out of the fellowship, and that's my addiction. But today, I just recently got a new sponsor. And I haven't been the best step worker I've done. I've tried to do it to the best of my ability, basically, but I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that is a new way of life for me to follow. And I've started, a new path with a new sponsor, and I'm kind of looking forward to it because I haven't worked the steps as much, I haven't completed the steps, and I kind of feel like I'm missing out on something. And so, I'm determined to kind of get that done, and I think other people are as well for me to get that done. And I get told that I'm missing out on so much, and I feel that, I see that, I feel that I am missing out. So, the program is there to kind of help me live my life and to become freer, basically. The freedom that I've got so far from this program is just amazing. So there's more on offer to me, and I want that. The freedom from just being honest and not having to lie and not having to get up, and I can make plans without worrying if I've got a hit there, or if I've got a hit for when I get back, or am I going to start withdrawing while I'm out? I haven't got to worry about all that today, and I haven't got to worry about covering up my lies or dodging people, hiding around the corner from people because I owe them money, or being late for work, or telling my boss that I'm sick. I don't do that today. I kind of, there's so much freedom from that, and so I'm free to do whatever I want. And I'm grateful for. I found myself quite open-minded when I first come around, and open to learning and finding a higher power, because I used to tell myself that I should have been dead by now, and I've always believed that there's been something looking after me that's brought me here today, and it's I should have been dead. I don't know what else to say. I'm running out, and thank you for everybody being here, and thank you for everybody that's been a part of my journey, and I'll leave it there, I think. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please help us improve our ranking so others can find us by putting a review on Stitcher, iTunes, or your favorite podcast index. Nawpod is ad-free thanks to the folks supporting the show with $1 or more per month. If you enjoy listening, you can join them by going to nawpod.xyz and looking for the donate link. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.